If you like DIYs and home decor that are chic and cheap, keep watching.
I'm running up stones on the edge of the bank.
I love the look of these old gold frames. I purchased this one at a local thrift store. I'm just going to freshen it up a little bit with some gold rub and buff.
I sing this softly to myself.
I got this beautiful lady at Dollar Tree, and I'm simply going to remove the canvas from the frame.
I'm buried beneath.
I traced the backing from the frame onto the back of the canvas, cut about 1/2 inch bigger than the backing. And now I'm just using my school glue all along the back of the canvas. Now I'll place that canvas onto the backing from the frame, and I'm going to use some hot glue along the edges to secure it in place.
I sing this softly to myself. Tore up my jeans on the fence. This iron road, I cannot.
And here's a look at it from the front. Now I'm going to add a little bit of gold detail to her hat. This is one of my favorite gold pins. It's from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to accent some of the flowers on her hat. This should tie in the gold from the frame nicely. And now she's ready to be added to the frame, and I think this is a lovely piece. Let me know what you think.
I'm waking up early again, sitting alone and listening, and there is no separation.
For this thrifted project, I'm using a dollar cutting board that I got from a local thrift store. It was in perfect condition, but I am going to use some Waverly chalk paint and ink to paint the front, sides, and the back. I'm going to be using one of IOD's sheep transfers, and I'm simply going to place that down onto one side of the cutting board and just adhere it with my transfer tool. After I burnish it down with that transfer sheet, I'm going to take a little bit of fine grit sandpaper and just sand over the top. I'm also going to sand around the edges and around the handle.
Rally the troops for another refrain. I sing this softly to myself.
Since this has such a nice clean back, I'm going to add a transfer to the back as well. This way I'll have two different looks. This too is one of IOD's transfers, but you could use any transfer or even a stencil, or if you're good at painting, you could do that as well. I'm adding a few flowers just to embellish it just a little bit more. Used the same finishing method on this side. I burnished the transfer with the transfer paper, and then I used a little bit of sandpaper. Now it's time to seal the piece front and back with DIY's Big Top.
That I can't bear to hold while I'm singing this song to myself. I sing this softly.
Depending on what your style is, I think this is a great piece for every day in your kitchen, or you could use the sheep in the fall and the birds in the spring.
I cannot bend, but my walking is lighter when I walk with a friend. I sing this softly to myself. I sing this softly to myself.
I thrifted this paint can from the Goodwill bins, and it was covered with a Christmas paper, and when I went to wash it, of course, the paper Came off very easily. So now I'm just taping off those handles. I'm going to be using Fusion and Conservatory to paint the can.
I'm waking up early again.
Now I'm going to be using this large frame here, and I'm going to be using some air dry clay. It is paper clay that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to be dusting a little bit of cornstarch into the mold so that the paper clay will release a little bit easier.
I sing this softly to myself.
Once I have the frame completely filled with the clay, I do gently turn it over and let gravity do its thing and kind of let the clay fall out of the frame. Now I'm going to go around it and just get off a little bit of those rough edges and smooth them down a bit. Now I'm going to use some Tight Bond quick and thick glue to adhere the frame to the can. The clay is still wet, so I will let the glue set up and let the clay dry before I come back and give it another coat of that conservatory. Now I'm using some recycled decoupage paper, and I'm going to be using this little piece right here. I'm going to cut it out and decoupage it onto the can in the frame. I'll apply a little bit of Mod Podge on the top half and gently apply that decoupage paper down, and then I will work on the bottom half. And I'll also give it a coat of Mod Podge on the top.
Bracing for news that I can't bear to hold while I'm singing.
I'm going to be using a combination of a couple of different waxes just over the frame and over the picture. I used some clear wax first, and I believe that's by Deco Art, and then I'm using some DIY's black wax over the top of that, and then going back with a paper towel and just wiping it back.
I've been, but my walking is lighter when I walk with a friend. I sing this softly to myself. I sing this softly to myself.
I found this little chicken at the Goodwill bins, and it looks like it had been on a stand at one time. I'm going to give it a coat of Waverly chalk paint in ink, and I'm just using a sponge here to do this. It goes really fast this way. It's much faster than an actual brush, and you don't get brush strokes.
Sitting alone and listening, and there is no.
Now, because it is rounded on the bottom, it will not just sit up on a flat surface. So I'm adding this little metal piece that I also thrifted. It looks like it's from a lamp or something, and I cut a dowel rod so that it would fit into the chicken and then down into the little base. Now I'm using some black wax just to richen up this chicken a little bit, and then I'm going back with some gold rub and buff. I used Tight Bond to adhere a little round piece that I found in my stash that I needed to kind of fill in below that metal part. And we're going to have to add something to that in just a minute as well. So that everything would sit flush, I did add one of Dollar Tree's tumbling tower blocks to the bottom of this piece so that it would hold it in place. And finally, we can add the chicken.
I'm buried beneath the sand.
I would love to know what you think about today's DIYs, and especially which one is your favorite.
Watching the paper slowly unfold, bracing for news that I can't bear to hold while I'm singing.
I'll have another video listed for you here that I think you might like. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to share the chic. Bye now.
Tore up my jeans.